Yeah, I like that. I like that. You know, I didn't realize how it would feel going into this, man. But after witnessing what's happened, after seeing Orange get ejected, you know, I'm kind of just in a space where I just feel elated. You know, I feel like a big burden, a big weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Now I know the 4chan users are about to slide in here being like, "Oh my God, why are you happy that Biden won and not Trump? Biden's just as bad as Trump." I don't know how you came down to that conclusion, but number one, people are not celebrating because Biden is president. People are celebrating because Trump is no longer president. Huge difference. Most people don't know jack shit about Biden either. Most people don't know what Biden really has in store. But based off of what his plans are, in my opinion, they look much better for regular everyday people than everything that Trump had in store. These last 4 years have felt like 40, and I feel like I've aged 100 years, even though I felt like the last 4 years have only been 40. I don't want Trump supporters sliding over here to me talking about what's best for somebody like me when the only black issue they've personally faced is the mold in their bathtub. This ain't about Biden, okay? I don't care about Biden. I do know that if Biden screws up somewhere along the way, that the people that put him there in that position aren't gonna let it slide, aren't gonna be like, "Oh my God, you know, he did what he did," carelessly defending him and not calling out bullshit when they see it. And you know what? It's okay if issues that plague people that don't look like you don't necessarily affect you and you don't care about them, all right? It's okay if issues that don't affect you do affect other demographics and they're just issues that you don't really find yourself facing. Those things are okay, but you can't have that attitude if you're also president, okay? You aren't allowed the power and the reign over that many people if those are your sentiments, and those are sentiments over the last 4 years especially that have been expressed by somebody like Donald Trump. You aren't allowed the freedom to not care when these are people that you have free reign over. So yes, the everyday average American can carry those sentiments, can carry those thoughts, but you just can't carry those thoughts and have that kind of power. The power of the KKK has been stripped away. Quick slide into, I already know people are going to be like, "Yo, this channel's gotten so political when I say, oh, you know, discrimination is bad." Yeah, that's a very powerful political opinion to say that people shouldn't be discriminated against. I'm glad that's a political issue to you and not a moral one. A moral issue that can become a political one if people that have any kind of power in this country share those exact same sentiments. You gotta stop pretending, bro, alright? America is built off of people vicariously living through others. Let's not pretend like Trump didn't become an outlet to vicariously live through him. That's why so many people have supported him, because he shares the sentiments of being outspoken, not having to filter what you say, just saying whatever comes to your mind, being openly bigoted, being openly ignorant. People see those things and think that that's what being real means. And so Trump, unlike a lot of other presidents, has been put into the position that he's been in because people liked him. They saw a bit of themselves in him and thought that since this man represents me, he should represent the country. That's just not how I see it. That's not how I see it, man. Next time that Trump has a season of The Apprentice, he can also put on his resume that he was one of the very few, maybe even the first president to not get 2 terms. People that are all for free speech and for all lives mattering, I don't get why this is such a terrible thing for you. Democracy finally won in this instance. All people mattered here because all the votes mattered, right? I know you're gonna bring up Biden, you know, put that mass incarceration bill in effect. Hey, I don't disagree with you, bro. I don't. We're not gonna pretend and act like his voice in that was the majority voice. There were many other factors and voices that kind of came to make that a thing. I know people are also gonna bring up, well, if you think Trump is racist, how about Biden? He said black and white kids shouldn't go to school together. You know what? In that time frame, yeah, I agree with them. Black and white kids should not have been so carelessly integrated into the same school. White children having values from white racist parents, mingling and intersecting with kids from other cultures that they don't understand, probably will look like a jungle to me. Oh, what? Now y'all not a fan of being outspoken? Bro, I am elated. Don't pretend to care about black folks now. Don't pretend to care about minorities now. Don't do it. Listen, you support bigots and enable idiots. We're not the same. Get the fuck out of here. Lastly, to the woke people that are gonna be like, you know what, y'all acting real happy right now, but it's still problem plaguing our community to have all our I's dotted and our T's crossed. Biden's still a white man. Biden's still this. Look, don't take a moment of happiness out of a year that's been so shit for most people, not even Biden supporters or Trump supporters, but just people in general. Don't take one moment that people are happy because a man who's done a horrible job the last 4 years has had his power taken away from him. Don't take that as people endorsing Biden and saying, oh my God, this is the best option ever. That's not what they say. I know you want to be woke right now. I know you're trying to mind fuck people with no lube right now, but bro, I don't care. You're talking about it don't even go in my ears. Nobody forgot. People are just enjoying one moment out of a year of 1,000 bad ones. Let them smile. This Trump pack is glorious. King Von. Very, very tragic situation. And I said this one right after, the Biden one, because I want to remind people that, yes, the problems aren't over. Just because this happened doesn't mean that this isn't happening. King Von, tragic situation, tragic story, 26-year-old from Chicago, I believe. When I look at King Von, I look at another rapper who is the victim to hip-hop culture. Hip-hop culture, in a lot of instances, is something that a lot of people have taken and kind of used to masquerade gang culture. Gang culture has lived side by side with hip-hop culture, and some people get the two mixed up. And one of the things that I guess is the most annoying to me is people that generally listen to Von's music, or people that generally listen to artists' music that kind of get involved in situations like this, violent situations like this. They don't know about gang culture, but they know about hip-hop culture. And because sometimes hip-hop culture and gang culture intertwine, people that listen to hip-hop think they have a window into that world, and they never do, right? And that goes for white and black people. I've said this before, but there are certain people that believe that because they grew up broke, they grew up in the hood. Because you grew up with no money, that means you grew up around gangs, and you probably didn't. This is a problem that more so affects young black men. It seems to only be a thing within, the inner black community, where there are black millionaires that, have to go back and forth with one another. I never, when I was coming up, saw Bill Gates and Steve Jobs going back and forth. How they competed was they competed through business. Instances like this, these are the only cases where you're going to see young men that have money engage in activity that people with money don't engage in. And yes, it goes to show that money does not provide happiness. Money does not provide a mental escape, but you would like to think that it gives you enough opportunities to put yourself in a position where you don't have to engage in this lifestyle anymore. And another thing I hate about hip-hop culture, at least in this climate, is how both sometimes black and white people get to be the beneficiaries and get to be the biggest profiters from that culture. Meanwhile, black people tend to be the only rappers who suffer the consequences of hip-hop culture. The likelihood of you hearing about a Post Malone getting gunned down outside of a club is slim to none. Same thing with Machine Gun Kelly, Eminem, Kid Laroi. When you're listening to a young black act, I feel like that fear of when is it gonna happen to him is always reoccurring, because for a lot of them, the rap music was the escape from the gang culture. Like I said, the two live right next to each other. You can't get into one and not the other if you started here and you're looking here as your form of escape, which to me means that we just need better forms of escape for people. We need better forms of outlets and better forms for reform for kids that are coming out of that environment, that are looking into new spaces, because that mentality, that mindset, you can't take everywhere with you. King Von was in a state where he knew essentially no one. This isn't his city, this isn't his area, this isn't his town. Engaged in almost gang-like activity in a city that he knows nothing about, all because of this ideology that he's been indoctrined to believe when he was growing up, that your ego comes before wisdom, or your pride comes before your logic. And that kind of mentality, growing up indoctrined like that, can prevent you from thinking about the things that matters most before you're about to engage in some bullshit. Like your kids come into your mind before you engage in this, because you know the repercussions and the ramifications of you engaging in this activity could end up with your kids no longer having a father. There needs to seriously be a calm down, a sit down, because I think people forget too often about these rappers that get on. They forget about their mental. They forget about where they're at in the head and what they've been made to believe their entire life. How not to preserve one of the things that is so valuable about living your life, and how putting yourself in certain environments can endanger that thing that's most valuable. But what I've learned is your life isn't the most valuable thing to you because you want to live. That's not why you should value your life. You should value your life because if you have impact in other people's lives, they need you as well. The fact that they need you more should come before your ego, should come before your pride, should come before any altercation. The fact that you know your son needs you, or your daughter needs you, or your mother needs you, or your sisters need you, or your brother needs you, or your friends need you, or your girl needs you. The fact that those people need you should take precedence before anything self-related. This is my life, but I'm not just here for me. And when you get that, when you understand that, you move different. But I seriously think there needs to be like a reform for guys that come from these environments, so that when they're transitioning, they realize, you know what you knew, don't take that shit here. Once you get successful, this ain't the wave. This ain't it. That's all I really have to say. I still think it's extremely tragic what happened to him. Rest in peace to him. Hopefully his family's doing well. His fan base, I know y'all loved him a lot. I listened to his music too. I won't say I was his biggest fan, but I definitely can agree that he was talented. That's how I feel. Thank you for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. And until next time, I'm out.